So what you're gonna need for this is you're gonna need our long white sheet of paper, which is 2 times the size of the images that we made. You need your colored image and you need your black and white image. So if you can see, this white page is the exact size of both of the images put together. Essentially what we're going to be doing is we are going to be cutting each of the images into little pieces, and then we're going to alternate between the colored image and the black and white image, and then we're going to fold it. To do that, we're going to need a ruler, glue stick, scissors, and a pencil. Okay, so what we're going to do is each of these papers are 12 inches long, and we're going to break them into 2-inch columns. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our ruler at the top. You always want to make sure that your 0 is lined up with the edge of your paper. And we're going to make a little line at 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So that way it'll break each of the sections into 2 inches. It'll be 2-inch columns, okay? Then we're going to move the ruler down. It's really easy with this piece of paper since it is exactly 12 inches. So we can make sure that it's lined up over here and lined up over here. And again, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Now we're going to do it one final time so we can make sure our measurements are super accurate. So again, we're going to make sure that it's lined up on the 12 side and lined up on the 0 side. And 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our ruler and we're going to line up all 3 of those marks that we made. And we're going to lightly draw down. Okay, that's going to make our first column. Then we're going to do the same. Lining up all 3, making sure that my pencil is passing through all 3 of my marks to make sure that it is straight. So usually what I do to line it up is I line it up with the first one, and then I put my finger down, and then I can pivot the bottom part to line up with the other 2 marks. So then you're going to keep doing that. Just like that. Okay, and we're going to repeat the same thing with this one. Okay, now that we're done with that, we are going to make sure that we number our image so that we know what order we are doing it in. Okay, so what we're going to do is, this is the way that the image is supposed to face. So that means that this side is the left side. So when we flip it over this way, it's going to be backwards. So this is our left side. So then we're going to start numbering. We're just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then we're going to do the same thing with this one. So if your image doesn't matter which way it goes, it does not matter which way you flip it. But if you did have an image that you wanted a certain way, orient it that certain way, flip it over. And now we know that this one is where we want to start our numbering. So we're going to do the same thing. That way, when we cut it out and assemble it on here, we'll know that it goes 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6. And we'll keep the images straight together. Okay, now what we are going to do is we are going to cut them out on the line. So go nice and slow, following along that line. Okay, now I have all of my pieces cut. I am going to be gluing them on this page. So I'm gonna move this page over and I'm gonna have my strips ready, and they are all numbered. So we're gonna make sure that we're flipping both of the ones over, and that's what we're gonna glue down first, okay? So it does not matter if you start with black or white or you start with colored, that is totally up to you. But what I'm gonna do is I am going to put a little section of glue here. And make sure you're doing a lot of it. Do not be light on the glue. Okay, we wanna make sure it sticks super well. So I'm gonna start with my colored one. Wanna make sure that it is number 1. Gonna line it up. The paper should be the same size, so it should be able to line up perfectly. And now I can kind of move it around until it's perfect, and then I'm gonna stick it down super good. Okay, press it with my hand. Then I'm going to start with my black and white image, do the same thing. So again, black and white image, want to make sure that I'm using the 1. If I had an image where it mattered what the top and bottom was of my image, I would just want to make sure that I'm putting the top at the top and the bottom at the bottom my image, it does not matter. But for my colored image, you can see that I have the colors going a certain way, so I want to make sure I line it up like this instead of like this. Otherwise, my image is not going to make sense when I put it all together. Make sure that you're facing the images the right way. So as you can see here on the colored one, I have pink at the top. So I want to make sure when I line up the next one, I'm also putting the pink at the top. And then same thing for the black and white one. So when I connect my image, that doesn't connect. But that one does connect. So lining it up with the bottom, pressing down super good. And if there ends up being this little tiny bit of white space that you see at the top here, don't worry, we can cut that off at the very end. Just make sure that it's lined up on one side. So this side, I'm choosing to line it all up on the bottom. That way we can just slice off the top if needed. So now before I go through and fold it, I'm gonna take care of this little edge because I don't want that to be in my final. So I'm gonna carefully cut just that white piece off. Okay, there we go. So now that I've got both of my images put together, we are going to begin folding it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip it all over in front of me, and I'm gonna flip it like this so that I see the image in front of me, okay? Then I'm gonna flip it back so I have that tucked piece down here, and I'm gonna fold it this way. So you're always folding towards yourself. So then I'm gonna flip it back so that it's away from me and flip it like this. Make sure to press every time just because that glue is still drying. So we just wanna make sure that everything stays super stuck. And also crease down, so press with your palms to make sure that it's super stuck, just because we are folding another layer of paper. So essentially you're just gonna go back and forth. Okay, big reveal now. So now when I pull it out, this will look like this. Okay, so then when I move the image, it'll be easier when we mount it, but when I move the image, you'll see all that way and all this way. There we go. Okay, now we are going to be getting our Agamograph ready to be mounted so that when it's hung up, people can interact with it and see both of your images come to life. So here I just have my Agamograph. It's still a little bit stretchy, but what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be hot gluing it down in place so that the peaks are all in the same spot, so that when you turn one way, you'll see the images. When you turn the other way, you'll see the other image. Okay, so we're gonna just be mounting it on this black piece of paper, and we're gonna be using hot glue today. So you wanna be very careful because the glue is very hot and it will burn your fingers if you touch it. So we're only gonna need a couple different glue dots to adhere it down. So what we're gonna be doing in the top corner, then we're gonna go every other. Just one tiny little glue dot, just like that. And 2 more at the end. So just pulling that trigger just ever so slightly to get that tiny bit of glue. Now we're going to carefully flip it over, and we are going to stick it down. So we want to make sure that all of our ridges are kind of looking the same, and it's best to kind of view it from the side. You can kind of see how they're looking. Then I'm going to go back through and I'm gonna see if there's any pieces that are loose, and I'm gonna go back in and I'm just gonna secure it down. So that middle one's looking a little flimsy, so I'm just gonna put tiny little dot glue. You really do not need a lot to stick it down. Okay, then once the glue dries, you'll notice there's these little strings that come with the hot glue. So I can just kind of pick those off, clean it up. If there was any glue that got where I didn't want it, you can just rub back and forth, kind of use your nail a little bit, and it will peel right off. That way it will be all ready to hang up. So just going back through, cleaning up any last little bit of glue, and then it will look like this. So it's super sturdy, but now when we hang it up in the hallway, people will be able to see it from one side and then see it from the other. So that's where the Agamograph comes to life.